Good evening and welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. We've got Yankees and Red Sox down in Tampa Bay. It's New York Minute Sports. It's New York Sports for New York Nuts. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's go!
It's New York Minute Sports.
Well, there you have it, folks. Welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. So, Boston and Yankees facing off in a spring training game today down in Florida, and it was a good one because we had a great pitching matchup today. None other than Crochet and Luis Gil. Now, Crochet scares me and keeps me up at night, and I wake up in cold sweats thinking about his starts against the New York Yankees this year, and we'll get to that. But the first story is Luis Gil, and I know that spring training's not a big deal. But what you need to see is the big story of spring training this year is the way that Luis Gil has come into camp and come into spring training and has dominated the opposition. And today, it was more of the same. He went 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, 2.25 ERA. Now, the biggest 2 numbers that you want to take out of that is the 6 strikeouts. He wasn't doing that at the end of the last year. He was getting cute around the plate, trying to paint the corners. Now he topped off at 96.7 today, and now he's starting to get his speed, his fastball, his velocity back, so he doesn't have to play these cute little baby games. So he gets 6 strikeouts, but the other number, I've told you this before, this is what you want to see with Luis Gil. 2 walks. Are we happy with 2 walks? No. Are they better than 4 walks? Absolutely. And that's exactly what Luis Gil averages over 7 innings is 4 walks. If Luis Gil can get the walks down, and if he can continue building on what he started here in spring training this year, he's going to be an integral part to the New York Yankees rotation. And just think about a rotation with a caliber of pitcher like Luis Gil with a 2 ERA as your 4th starter. Maybe even your 5th, depending on performance by the top guys like Max Fried, Garrett Cole, and Carlos Rodon. Time will tell, but Luis Gil's putting the work in spring training right now to have a successful 2026. Knock on wood, I am excited about the future of Luis Gil. Another guy that you should be ecstatic about the future of is none other than Ben Rice, our boy, because what the scary aspect of his batting now is it showed in spring training today. Off a left-handed pitcher, one of the toughest guys in the league, Crochet, he hits an opposite field double off the green monster. Now, Ben Rice was a dead pull hitter last year. He was a power hitter. Now, if Ben Rice starts spraying to all parts of the field, they're not going to be able to kill us with lefties anymore because it looks like Ben Rice is going to figure out lefties and righties, and that's the protection in the lineup that Aaron Judge needs. Now, when I think about Ben Rice, I think about Spencer Jones, and you might be like, why? Your wires get crossed today? Well, they get crossed on a regular basis, but no, I was thinking about this today, is that Ben Rice was a AA, not highly touted prospect in the Yankees farm system. In fact, they tried to move him several times. Now, they kept Ben Rice, and what they did was they were so desperate and so hurt at one point that Ben Rice soared the major leagues because out of necessity, not was this guy's playing so well that we got to bring him up. And what did Ben Rice do? He got thrown right in the fire and started producing day one. I mean, he had a cup of coffee in AAA and mostly spent most of his time in the minors in AA. And then he just skyrockets to this superstar, and all of the people in the know in Major League Baseball are super high on Ben Rice this year and the season that he's going to have. Did he have the most bad luck outs in Major League Baseball last year? Absolutely. Am I a little worried about the sophomore jinx in the book being out on him? Absolutely. But it looks like Ben Rice's ability is going to surpass that. Now, the reason I bring him up with Spencer Jones is everyone's saying, oh, Spencer Jones strikes out too much. He's going to hit 220 if we play him on a regular basis. But you don't know that. I don't know that. Listen, I sit here and I spout off my opinions from all the Yankees baseball that I've seen. Who knows if you put Spencer Jones in Major League Baseball at a high level and it clicks and he just winds up being Aaron Judge. So the point I'm trying to make is that you have a guy like Ben Rice, who wasn't a highly touted prospect. They throw him right in the fire and he succeeds. They didn't have a top 100 on him. They didn't have ESPN specials. ESPN was interviewing Spencer Jones in the dugout with the headset on. So you know Major League Baseball's high on him to have a lefty and righty, Aaron Judge and Spencer Jones on the New York Yankees. So why not just throw this guy in the fire? I've been one of the people saying, hey, he's going to strike out too much. He's going to hit 220, but fuck it. Why not? Why not? It worked for Ben Jones, and apparently with all the people in the know, as far as a prospect goes, Spencer Jones is a much more highly graded prospect than Ben Rice. Spencer Jones is 25 years of age as well. So the clock is ticking on him, kind of like Paul Skeens with the Pittsburgh Pirates. You know, he's very old for not seeing any playing time, and the same thing happened with Aaron Judge. So it might be shit or get off the pot time for the New York Yankees. And yes, you can be fooled by a strong spring training by a guy that is not Major League ready. Yes, you can be fooled by it. You can be fooled by the numbers in AAA when he had 31 bombs last year, led AAA in Major League Baseball home runs in AAA. But he strikes out way too many times, and that's what people says, and that's what's keeping the Yankees away from him. Another prospect that was lights out today, Lombard Jr., another guy having amazing spring training with the glove, and now he's adding the bat. And the most important part about Lombard Jr.'s home run to left field today over that monster wall in their spring training complex, which is awesome. Go visit it, by the way. When Lombard hit that to left field, what made it so important was the guy throwing the ball, Garrett Crochet. All right? Now, he hits a home run off of him. I hope to God Lombard Jr. has this Rafael Devers, Garrett Cole effect on Crochet. Maybe he's got his number. I don't know. Everything on this show is way too early. I don't want to hear it in the comments. I know it's spring training, but we're New York nuts, and it's New York sports for New York nuts right here. So we're crazy all year round. But what's crazy is the aspect of the pitching staffs in the AL East this year. Now, Garrett Crochet, I think, don't tell my Yankee fan friends, I think he's the best pitcher in the American League East. And not to mention, I think he might be the best pitcher in Major League Baseball and is going to have his major coming out party this year. Like I told you in the beginning of the episode, I wake up in cold sweats thinking about Garrett Crochet because I think back to the series in the playoffs against the Red Sox last year, and the Yankees, the luckiest part that they had is that they were playing the Red Sox in the short series. If they were to see Garrett Crochet again in that series, I don't think the Yankees get out of the first round. It was like the Twilight Zone watching spring training today because they took Garrett Crochet out, and I'm like, okay, now we can breathe. And then an inning later, they bring him back in the game. It was like the Twilight Zone. I'm like, what's going on? Spring training, you can take guys out and bring them back in as much as you want, apparently. So Garrett Crochet got to come back in the game and started dominating again. So I think that the American League East pitching staffs is going to be the best of any division in all of Major League Baseball because the Toronto Blue Jays, the Boston Red Sox, and the New York Yankees have epic starting rotations. Let's go to the videotape. I was going to do the Orioles, but I mean, they're a joke. Their pitching staff's always a joke. So I'm just going to concentrate on what I like to call the big three in the AL East. So you got the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's start with the Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cease, Trey Savage, Jose Barrios, Shane Bieber. That's a solid starting rotation. Then you have Garrett Crochet. Then you got Sonny Gray, Ranger Suarez, who they acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies. You got Bello, who is on his way up in Major League Baseball. Alvarado is another good guy. And Sandoval is a decent guy. Now, New York Yankees, Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Cam Schlittler, Luis Gil, Ryan Weathers. Aces, I think it goes Crochet, Garrett Cole, Gossman, number 1, okay? Now let's go down to number 2. Dylan Cease, Max Fried. Give me Max Fried. Sonny Gray finishes 3rd, okay? So Garrett Crochet, let's make a starting rotation out of those. So Garrett Crochet is the top guy. Then Max Fried would be the second guy. Better than the number 2 on the Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. Then you got Carlos Rodon. I got chips in my elbow. Scrambled eggs in my brain during the playoffs. Rodon as the 3rd starter. Ranger Suarez, Carlos Rodon, Trey Savage. I'm giving Savage the nod over all those dudes. Carlos Rodon 2nd, Suarez 3rd. Now let's go to Jose Barrios, okay? Cam Schlittler and Bello. Cam Schlittler beats them all. Bello's 2, Barrios is 3rd. Then you have Luis Gil, Shane Bieber, Avaretto. I'm giving it to Luis Gil. With what I just stated in this episode alone with what's going on in spring training, Luis Gil's going to have a breakout year. Then Shane Bieber, Ryan Weathers, and Sandoval. Got to give the nod to Shane Bieber because Ryan Weathers is also injury prone like Shane Bieber. He's an unproven commodity. So I think when it's all said and done, I think the way that the starting rotations in the AL East settle is the Yankees have the best, Red Sox are number 2, and I don't even want to call them a number 2. I think the Yankees and the Red Sox are 1A, 1B, and with the Toronto Blue Jays finishing in a very, very close 3rd. I don't want to have my balls busted in the comments, but that's the truth, and that's what you're going to get right here on New York Minute. But one of the things I wanted to touch on is the fact that the rivalry is going to be back this year against the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. Major League Baseball has been trying to manufacture a rivalry between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees pretty much ever since Big Sloppy retired. And they've been doing a poor job, and we smell a rat when we know it. It has to happen organically. When the Pedro Martinez and the rivalry of the 2000s with the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, there was no faking that. They despised each other. And I'm not saying that the rivalry is going to be back in the fact that the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees players are going to hate each other, because those days have come and gone, because they're all making millions and they're all got the same agents and are in the same union. But the reason that the rivalry is going to heat up is because both teams are super competitive this year. They play each other well, and they match up well with each other. I don't think the Boston Red Sox want to see the Yankees, and the Yankees don't want to see the Boston Red Sox. Now, I hear the Toronto Blue Jays fans right now going, Eric, what are you talking about? The Toronto Blue Jays owned the New York Yankees last year, and yes, they did. But my question to you guys is, didn't we tie for first? You know, with hindsight's 2020 and after the playoff push that the Toronto Blue Jays had, it's kind of revisionist history here. Okay, you guys had to do everything in your power, and the Yankees had to collapse for you guys to win the division. Did you own us? Absolutely. Were the Yankees probably tipping pitches and Don Mattingly had the book on the New York Yankees? I think that played into it. Now, do the Toronto Blue Jays, who had everything go right for them last year, every single domino fall, and everything come into place for them this year, can they replicate that? Can they replicate the same magic that they had last year? And I don't really need to go far as a Yankee fan to get a good example. I just got to go over to Queens. Look at the New York Mets. After they lost to the Dodgers in the NLCS, you thought they were going to be right back in the playoffs. And then they got Juan Soto. They're going to the playoffs, right? Missed the playoffs. Not saying it's going to happen to the Toronto Blue Jays, but the Baltimore Orioles have gotten better. That's a fact. Their starting rotation, not so much, but that's always the Baltimore Orioles' MO. Bunch of bats, no pitching. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays, I think, and my predictions for the East, how they're all going to place is going to be later in spring training. I would be worried about the Baltimore Orioles if I was a Toronto Blue Jays fan, because I think the top 3 spots in the AL East are going to fill out the playoff spots this year in Major League Baseball. I think that's where we're going to have 3 playoff teams in the AL East. So it's going to be a game of musical chairs, and the Orioles are dangerous. So that's one thing that I think the Toronto Blue Jay fans are going to have to look out for. And also, the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry is back on, folks. And if you look at the Vegas odds, the New York Yankees are favored to come in first place. The Boston Red Sox are favored to come in second, and the Toronto Blue Jays are predicted to come into third place, folks. And like I've said to you before, the AL East this year is a meat grinder. Grab your ankles and kiss your ass goodbye and grab your helmet, because it's going to be a war by the shore between the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox. And I'm going to be covering it all, folks, right here. It's New York Minute Sports. It's New York Sports for New York Nuts. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. Good night, Canada. Bye.